Hey guys, Lucas here, and in this video I'm going to explore some of the fundamental neurobiological mechanisms behind premature ejaculation. So this topic is obviously quite a sensitive topic, no pun intended, and that is because premature ejaculation is actually a very common issue amongst men of all ages. So what I'm going to do is actually break down some of the pathways in the body and also the brain, and then give you some practical takeaways to actually help reduce this troubling sort of issue. So what I'll do is I'll start out with what's actually happening in the body. So many guys that suffer from premature ejaculation actually have excessive amounts of adrenaline. Now, we know adrenaline is part of our fight or flight response, and many guys actually have issues with elevated adrenaline, which ties into what's known as the sympathetic nervous system. So that ties in with, so there's two branches of our nervous system. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The parasympathetic is what you can associate with rest, digest, and recover, whereas the sympathetic is the fight or flight or flee response. So excess adrenaline is an issue, so we need to address that. The next one is that most men that have premature ejaculation have elevated prolactin. Now, prolactin is something that I've spoken about and I talk about in my testosterone masterclass, which you can see a link to in the description below. How basically prolactin is inhibitory to male sexual function when it is too elevated. So to lower prolactin, we want to be focusing on increasing dopamine. Next point is that most men that have premature ejaculation have issues with elevated estrogen. They also have lower levels of testosterone. Now, bear in mind, testosterone governs so many aspects of male sexual function beyond just ejaculation time. Testosterone gives you that motivation. It gives you that urge to seek out a mate. It gives you that sexual libido, that lust, that that want, that craving. So you can learn how to optimize testosterone by checking out that link in my bio, where I explore some of the most advanced strategies to optimize testosterone. And for those who are following, know that I managed to get my testosterone just short of 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. So we've already discussed the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic, and then the final point was thyroid dysfunction. So making sure that their thyroid levels are checked and within the optimal range, not just measuring TSH, because that tells us nothing. Make sure you get your T4 and T3 checked. Now we're going to focus on what's happening in the brain. So this is where it gets really sophisticated and interesting. So in premature ejaculation, a lot of men actually have elevated histamine. Now, histamine you might associate with allergies, hay fever. However, histamine is actually very stimulating. It increases arousal, and it directly shortens one's time to ejaculation. Similar to the parasympathetic nervous system, we have low amounts of GABA. GABA is the inhibitory calming neurotransmitter, so that's something that needs to be nourished and supported for those that suffer from premature ejaculation. The next one's very interesting, and this sort of ties in with anhedonia, oxytocin, and adrenal fatigue, and that is the serotonin receptor, the 5-HT1A serotonin receptor. Now, a high sensitivity of this serotonin receptor actually makes one more prone to ejaculate quicker, so it actually increases arousal. This is great for PSSD sufferers, but if we're too sensitive in this serotonin receptor, then it's going to shorten one's time to ejaculation. Similar to the 5-HT1A receptor, we have the 5-HT2C receptor. Now this one's interesting because if we stimulate it, it increases erections, but it also inhibits ejaculation. So it's a fine balance, and there's a lot more research coming out about various genetic polymorphisms that link this serotonin receptor to premature ejaculation. In general, guys that have premature ejaculation also suffer from low serotonin. So not high serotonin, they actually have low serotonin and possibly high dopamine as well. They also may suffer from low acetylcholine. Now that's linked to the parasympathetic nervous system. We want to increase acetylcholine to also increase the parasympathetic nervous system. So what I'm going to do is I've also broken down some supplements that have been promising. Some of the guys that I've worked with to help with this sort of issue. Some of these supplements have been very beneficial. So the very first one, you've heard me talk about it, Shilajit. You can find a link to that in the description below. Shilajit actually has parasympathetic mimetic effects. So it can mimic the parasympathetic nervous system, specifically in the corpus cavernosum, which is within the shaft of the penis. Next one, we have burdock root. Now, burdock root has been shown to also increase testosterone and also help with delaying ejaculation. We're not exactly sure on the mechanisms. Tonkat Ali is another one. You can find a link to that below. All of these, by the way, I discuss in my testosterone masterclass, where I break down dosages and how to use them, things like that. And then number 4, which is my favorite herb, which you can also find a link to in the description below, is cistanche extract. Now, cistanche is what I would consider the most potent androgenic herb known to mankind. You ask any guy that's used cistanche and he'll come back and say how much he loves it, how it restores morning wood, increases libido, improves your recovery time, and things like that. So if you found this video helpful, please be sure to subscribe. I've got so many more helpful health videos coming up, and yeah, please be sure to leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you soon.